bit of a Slido poll set up ready, but actually because we're quite a small group, I'll still do those things if you're okay to do that. So I'm sharing my screen currently. Let me just do that now. So thanks for joining us. This is a session, a collaborative session between ourselves and Projecting Success. You're going to learn a couple of things today. I'm going to give some background as to the apprenticeships, how they came about, and some of the benefits of the program. You'll be linked to those people that can offer support, advice, and guidance to ensure that the apprenticeship's right for you. You'll be given access to free project management learning as a result of today, so I'll share some links on that. And yeah, you'll hear from James around the course content for Projecting Success and the Level 4 Data Analyst Apprenticeship. So yeah, do get involved. You can make some introductions if you feel the need to do that. As I mentioned, I do have a Slido poll running. Happy to share that with us all here. The session is being recorded. I will share slides. We'll ask for your opinion. If there's any feedback you want to give us to improve future sessions, then please pop that in the chats. And any questions you might have that we don't have time to answer, then yeah, we'll pick those up. So this is the NHS Project Profession Vision. It's a 7-year program, so it's quite a long program. For those that work in HE, David Farrelly, Director of Performance, is our SRO for this program. But that vision was a vision drawn up by heads of profession from across the NHS. And we had representatives from across the NHS to help us develop that. So let me just pause there. Now I will share my Slido poll, and then at least you've got that. Hi, Des.
Hello.
Hi, Des. You okay?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Great. So if you haven't used Slido before, I've only got 2 questions in the poll, to be honest, and I thought it'd be useful to just sense check a couple of things. So we're making sure that the content we're going to provide today is what you want to, what you'd like to hear. So let me just put this in the chat, slido.com. And so if you go onto slido.com, and the poll hashtag today is 349045. It's fairly straightforward. So just wanted to understand what's brought you here today. I know I've put it out on various platforms, social media, internal, external platforms, but just wanted to understand whether you're someone that's really keen to enrol on the apprenticeship standard, if you're here to find out a little bit more about that enrolment process, if you're here if you would like some clarity before making any kind of decision, or if you're a line manager that's looking to introduce this as a form of L&D opportunity. And for those that are really close to data, you access it, use it, manipulate the data every day, you'd like to build up capabilities, and potentially that's the apprenticeship will be able to deliver that. Okay, it's a bit of a spread really, actually. So it's a couple of line managers, and yeah, I will share that. Can you see that screen at the moment with the Slido polls coming in? Yeah,
I can see it. Yeah,
lovely, thank you. So James, if as you're discussing, I know you've obviously prepared for today, but if there's anything you think you might want to include based on this information, then
sure.
then do let us know, and you can include that. We can always come back to that if you wanted. And my final question on the slide, it was really just to find out what sort of information you'd like us to share or create. So there is information and documents that's available to people, which gives some high-level summaries as to what those education programs are designed to do. But if you feel that you don't feel there's a sufficient level of information, there isn't perhaps there's some things that you want to know, but you can't seem to find it. Let us know, because we can look to include that in future marketing collateral. So we're sending that out to a diverse range of people. Case studies, interestingly, we had I don't know whether anyone saw it. We had a Compass 2 event happen a couple of weeks ago, and there was 2 apprenticeships on there. One that had done one had actually finished a level 6 project management apprenticeship, and the other one had just started through the University of Cumbria. It was just amazing to hear their experiences. I mean, one lady, she was 39, 2 kids, hasn't done any long-term learning in years and years and years, was a bit sort of stifled in a role, decided that she wanted to go on and do this level 6 project management apprenticeship. She was in her 7th week at that time and absolutely loves it. So it's, really rewarding. It's really relevant to her area of work and things. So I'll share those case studies with you, because I'll at least put the link in once I hand over to James, because they are really powerful messages. So there's quite a broad stuff there. More information about the cohort start dates. So perhaps James might want to include that when he talks. Anything about the application and onboarding process, how the learner journey works. We do have, and I'll put it in the chat. There's an attachment which has some of that information on it today. So yeah, you'll have access to that. So thank you. That's really great. Thanks for those for sharing your opinions. I'll go back onto the slide deck. I've only got a few slides to share. Typically didn't want to overdo it. As things, things can be overdone on PowerPoint, so I will just do that now. So I'll move on from the vision, which you've all seen. It's only short and sweet, really. We're only a small team, believe it or not. And this picture was taken before COVID came about. So yeah, Jo, head of profession for HE. She's gone right the way up to the top. Is an APM chartered profession. Yeah, you'll see Jocelyn, myself, and Christine have a part to play in each of the kind of key areas of the program. The benefits from the program itself, there's both individual and system benefits. I think we're quite keen to sort of say that actually there's individual benefits for those going on to an apprenticeship around capability and actually improving their capabilities and start to develop their own learning in that field, but also that there's a networking opportunity. So I'll be sharing some of that stuff very shortly, where you can do it now. Don't have to be an apprentice to do it, but you can access a whole network of project professionals in the NHS. We've got a network of over 800 people from across the NHS landscape that are sharing their ways of working, sharing templates, sharing things that have worked in their organisation, and you can use those things. So there's an opportunity to do that, as well as being an apprentice. We want to share the learning that goes on. So if you're keen to do that, then you can link to other people that are going along that same journey. So you've got someone a group of people to work through, like a peer group. And there's then system benefits as well, which organizational benefits of someone going on an apprenticeship just outlines here. So you can have a look at those if other time if you wanted to. I think someone's come in there. Just check that. Oh no, that's fine. So yeah, Dr. Navina Evans, who's our CEO at HE. She was in her first 100 days actually when she opened the festival in February. She's really supportive about learning development and access to learning. So really pleased that she launched that event and launched the apprenticeships that day. So I'm really excited to have her do that. I have been linking, for those that are in HE, we're going to be offering this apprenticeship internally. So that's going through the processes at the moment. Just got some things to do on the HE Learning and Development Hub, so you can access that. But I've got to catch up with the HR team tomorrow as to the sort of timescales. But there's no reason why you can't start in potentially in July. There's nothing really preventing you from doing that. It's just the processes we need in place to enable it. So, and for those that are outside HE, there's a host of program documents that you can access that'll tell you who to speak to get the contract set up, because we've done all the hard work. Which, and for anyone that's procured apprentices, apprenticeship providers previously, it's a lot of work, a lot of effort. We've cherry picked the very best that's out there. So although we launched 4 standards, we've only got 7 providers, which might not seem a lot, but we've went for quality over quantity, and projecting success of one of those providers that are absolutely at the top of their game. So yeah, if you want to look at some of the Lunch and Learn recordings we've done, because we've done a couple with Projecting Success now, you're welcome to view those on our YouTube channel. There is, as I mentioned, about community development, so you can get access to it now if you haven't already. APM membership, corporate membership, so you get free access to a load of resource, get discounts on loads of stuff. There's best management practice guides, so there's about 27 books online available for you to access, dip in and out of. That includes benefits management, change management, managing successful programs, the 5th edition, things like that. So you can access that straight away. And for those that are brand new into project management, we've got 5 core skill modules that you can do on e-learning for healthcare. And they've been accessed since we launched them a couple of years ago. They've been accessed over 6,000 times. So yeah, they're the kind of building blocks. So do access those. And yeah, so I'll share all that with you as we hand over to James. In terms of the data, the level 4 data analyst for the NHS, it's really, because what we're finding is, and I'm my experience of working in the NHS, been in it 10 years, but I've only experienced one really small part of that. Yes, I've been at HE workforce planning for 3, and I've done workforce planning in trusts at sort of ward level. But actually, there's a whole host of organisations involved in the NHS. So actually, data applies to all of those sectors. We're using data more than ever at the moment. It comes in different forms. It comes in unexpected ways occasionally, and so we need to be able to have the skills and abilities to make sense of that data so that it informs decisions going forward. And HE are leading on digital readiness and being more digitally literate, and the data analyst is just one example, one option that's available to people, so that at the end of your time as an apprentice, you feel there's other can take you down other career routes. These are our apprenticeship providers. James's name isn't on there because James is one of the lead tutors. But for Projecting Success, there's Vicky, Martin, and Yoshi. So the contact details are there for each of the providers. So if you fancy doing a level 7 in systems thinking, there's a standard for that. And I'll share these so you've got contact details for each of those. There's also regional HE apprenticeship leads, and we've got PMO leads, which if depending where you are in the country. For me, Yorkshire and Humber, I've got Maddie and Mike, and there's Faye. So you've got not only a PMO regional lead that you can tap into, and each of these regional leads have regional networks, so you can go into those, and apprenticeships form a really important part of that. And then you've got regional apprenticeship leads for HE that offer that subject matter expertise. They're the ones that give advice to trusts and to ALBs to understand how best to implement it. So they work with HR, OD, workforce planning managers, apprenticeship leads and things like that. So they're well connected, And each of those, so Faye, Gemma, Liz, and the others, they will be, I'd be surprised if they aren't, but they should be connected to your internal apprenticeship lead. So if you click on these hyperlinks at the top of that table, it will take you their contact details. So hopefully that's really easy for you to do that one. Finally, apprenticeship documents. So I know this is, if you're not from HE, the others, if you're kind of looking at this to say, well, we want apprenticeships in our organisation, how do we do that? These two documents will give you some a flavour for that and understand what steps you need to do to look at the procurement that we did and take advantage of the time and effort we put into that. There's a document for that, and the other document is around the actual summary of those 4 apprenticeships. It gives you sort of high level details as well as the cost. So technically the cost is free because it's you know, all our organisations pay into the levy pot, so it's just how we draw that down. So those 2 documents, I'll provide that as well today. So hopefully that's useful for you. And there's our contact details. I'm based at HE, so you know, for those that know me, you know, can send us an email. But I'll put my personal email into the chat as well, so you've got that. And those 3 links. Knowledge Hub is the community, the outward-facing stuff, the closed groups. Twitter's obviously, yeah, getting to understand what we're doing outward-facingly, and then obviously the hashtags and things. So, and I'll pop the YouTube channel in there too. So hopefully that was useful. Any questions? Anything anyone wants to ask around that? No. Okay, that's fine. Oh yes, okay. So yeah, there's something in the chat here around. So yeah, what would be useful would be some courses aimed at more senior analytical staff. Most of us are self-taught, so we'll inevitably have gaps in our knowledge or things that we're less clear on. Yeah, that's it's funny because when we looked at the types of core skills for people working in project or change management, which covers a whole vast range of things, we did find people are often self-taught, and there's perhaps nothing wrong with that at all. It's no fault of their own at all, but this is a formal way of getting that qualification, and there are other data related apprenticeships higher up in the scale, if that's something that people wanted to look for and feel that there's that next step up in learning content and that next step up in knowledge and application. So yeah, I think that's something we will eventually look at. We're close to the APM. We're feeding into their capability framework, the second version shortly that's due out in the summer. So there's a lot around data in that because we don't think it's going to slow down. It's obviously it's going to be more of it. So thanks for your comments on that one. What would be the equivalent agenda banding level 4 apprenticeship aimed at? Thanks, Rachel, for that. I did actually include, I don't know if any of you've seen it, the capability framework I led on the development of. It took 2 years to do that. We've done some NHS skills level mapping. So we've mapped that against what we would describe as 5 levels of project management. So those are that we and data is so data, DDAT, and so digital data and technology. There is some overlap, but we would describe someone coming into project management as an aspirant, 0 to 2 years, perhaps haven't had in project management, haven't necessarily led a project of their own. Often the work they do is very low level complexity. We've also mapped that against typical agenda for change grades and mapped that with our apprenticeships. So our apprenticeship level 4 would these are just recommendations, would start at a band 5. Band 5 to band 7 would be your level your level 4 apprenticeship. But that's not to say people at band 2s and 3s shouldn't be doing it. If you feel they're close in, certainly we talk about projecting success, if you feel that they're close enough to data day to day, so it could be, I don't know, looking at bank fill in your hospital, for example. I know that's perhaps a world away from where we are now, but it's the first thing that came in my mind. But if you have bank fill and they're looking at data all the time and they're getting all these shifts coming in and understanding they need to have some correlation between data and action, then absolutely, why not put a band 3, band 4 into a level 4 apprenticeship? It's absolutely, it's appropriate. And I think apprenticeships are really, there's still sort of some stigma around apprenticeships, but they are really important. It's never been easier to get someone into an apprenticeship. It's never been easier, and there's never a better time. What I've seen, because my job is capability and resourcing manager at HE, what I've seen is people, since COVID, people are reflecting more and reevaluating what's important, and that includes learning and how to access learning. And people are now becoming, 2 or 3 day courses are no longer. Yes, there's still, people still want to do that, still popular, but actually people want a longer term, longer learning commitment, and apprenticeships can offer that, as well as the application of learning, which comes along with the apprenticeship. So Six Sigma. Des mentioned the improvement apprenticeship provides Six Sigma. We're up to level 6. We're exploring provider now in our trust. Great, Des. If you could share any of that experience as a case study with us, that would be perfect. Whether you're just starting out or whether you're kind of further into it, let us know, because I'm sure others can learn from your experience and understand how best to implement that. So the link for the e-learning project management courses, Hannah, it is open to all NHS organisations. Doesn't matter who, whether that's a trust or CCG, ICS, whatever. You can access them. They're free, and they are really good. They're about an hour. You get an assessment at the end, and you get a certificate. There's one for SROs, believe it or not. There's one for change managers. There's one for building blocks of project management, and a few others. We are looking at doing one for systems thinking. So if you've got an interest in systems thinking, let us know, because you could be maybe part of that user group. So thanks very much for all your comments. That's brilliant. I think I've covered all of those. James, do you want to kick things off? Say hello and.
Yes, I've got some slides that I'm going to share, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, lovely.
Just let me know if you can see those, Mike.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to do a bit of a sort of
excellent,
a bit of an introduction to myself and the company, and I've got loads of material. So when should we be wrapping up at 1 o'clock?
Yes, please. I'd give sort of 10 minutes for Q&A if anyone's got any of those things. But
so I'll wrap up about 10 to 1.
Lovely. Thanks, James.
Yeah, no problem. So I've probably got way too much to talk about. So if you see me jumping forward in slides, then you'll know why. But it's just a taster course today to kind of give you a flavour and a bit more information into the apprenticeship. So as Mike mentioned, my name is James Smith, and I'm the CTO for Projecting Success. Now, I thought it's worth talking a tiny bit about the company, because we are not your kind of traditional sort of apprenticeship training provider. We're not an apprenticeship factory. We're actually, there are kind of 3 departments in the business: the sort of consultancy, which is the heart of the business, where we build models or dashboards or do data audits for our clients. We have the community, which you may have heard of, Project Hack and Project Meetup. Some of you may have been along to some of those sessions. We have a huge community of 8,000 members. And then we have the capability arm of the business, which is where our paths cross today. And we do training and masterclasses. And of course, we've got our level 4 Data Analyst Apprenticeship. The really great thing about our apprenticeship is that the people in the consultancy business delivering projects for our clients are also tutors as well. So they're all practitioners. They're all working with the latest and greatest in industry, and then they can transfer that over to the learners. We had some great news, which we're really proud of. So we're talking about it whenever we can. But we were we were successful with the Machine Learning Artificial Intelligence Team of the Year. We found out last week, and we were up against some really stiff competition. And yeah, we were really thrilled with that outcome. So a little bit of just background on about me. So I'm a mathematician. I completed my BSc in mathematics in about 2010. I went on, did a master's, went on and did a PhD in applied maths. Actually was lucky enough to get a stipend and did quite a lot of lecturing during my PhD. Was a maths, and then got offered a lectureship for 2 years. So I carried on teaching mathematics before I decided I kind of wanted to drop into industry, and that's when I actually joined Projecting Success almost 5 years ago now. So an agenda for what we're going to talk about. I'm going to cover kind of what is project data analytics, because this apprenticeship has a real laser focused on improving projects. It's not just a data analyst kind of general course. I'm going to give a bit of inspiration of why we need to do something. I'm going to give an overview of the course. We'll talk about some success stories and how you can really start your journey. What is project data analytics? Now, if you look at the image in the top right-hand corner, you can see this is all the program technical information for Crossrail and also all the program control information. Now, all the technical information, all the requirements, asset inventory, etc., all in the red box is all reused. That's not a huge problem. I guess the whole company was designed around the fact that the program control information, all the schedules and costs, change control, risk management, HR information, procurement, health and safety, is all archived, best case, quite usually deleted at the end of a project. And we call it this kind of exhaust plume. And really what we're trying to do is use and leverage this experience from all of our past projects to try and improve project delivery performance for the future. So really trying to drive up delivery productivity and certainty. So project data analytics refers to every aspect of data analytics here. So the extracting, examining, transforming, arranging of all of this data, including the storage and processing, when we're trying to extract useful insights and create data-driven decisions. And again, a little bit more inspiration. So some research done by Oxford Business School by Ben Fluvier and Alex Budzier on sort of the successfulness of projects. And you can see that 0.5% of projects, which is 1 in 200, are on budget, on time and on benefits, which is a pretty shocking statistic. And really nothing has changed in the last 20 years. So that's what we're trying to fix. 1 in 200 projects is just not enough. And we really believe that projects are sort of predisposed to these factors, these sort of variances in budget and schedule as well, just in the same way that our bodies are. I'm predisposed to sciatica because the discs of my spine are too close together, and the same is clearly true for projects. So you can see the mean cost overrun there on the left-hand column is clearly much bigger for projects like Olympics, nuclear power, dams, IT. And then the mean schedule run there, the column in the center, is much greater for IT, dams, nuclear power projects, rail projects. Now, this doesn't help us necessarily understand what's happening. It only tells us that given a new type of this project, we could say that it's probably going to be overrun budget or schedule. So in order to understand the causality, we need to know about the work breakdown structure, the conditions, the value, the team, and every aspect of the project to really understand what is going wrong. So a bit of a course overview. It's a 15-month scheme. As Mike said, it's 100% funded by government. So if you're levy paying, it is 100% funded. It's delivered by experts, myself included, bit tongue in cheek. But like I said, our head of data science, senior analysts, all the people in the consultancy business also double up as lecturers as well. We have a huge age range age range from 19 to 60 plus. We're really trying to, I guess, sort of change the sort of perception of the word apprentice or apprenticeship. This is, you know, kind of working professionals. I would say that the sort of mean age of our learners is probably in their mid-30s. It's all remote learning, so you don't have any concerns around COVID or logistical issues. It's 20% of your time over those 15 months, but only 10% face-to-face. By face-to-face, I mean in calls, in kind of teaching sessions. The rest of it is kind of doing additional exercises or bits of homework, etc. You get to attend our hackathons as well, which are really, really famous for. We have hackathons every 2 months. We had one just a few days ago. And again, you'll be part of hopefully bringing challenges to those hackathons. Then you can get our community of kind of data scientists and other data professionals to help you solve them. And the kind of messages I really want you to sort of get ready for a data-driven future. All of our jobs every single day are using data more and more. We're all using Excel or SharePoint lists, some of us using databases. And it's courses like this that help people stay current. I think that analytics is going to be as important as things like computer literacy was 15 years ago, and now that's a given. People used to put it on their CVs. It's just a given. I think data analytics is really genuinely going to be as important as that. So you can see some of the tools that we teach on the apprenticeship as well on the right hand side, things like SkyKit Learn, part of Python, how to build low code Power Apps, how to code in Python right from the very beginning. We start with no prior knowledge assumed, how to build reports in Power BI, some advanced Excel as well. We can't exclude Excel. It is still used so widely and is so important. We teach SQL as well. We teach how to use graph databases, including Neo4j. And we also touch on automation as well, using Power Automate. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail over the next few slides, as much as I possibly can anyway, given the time. So I mentioned hackathons. Now there's a QR code there if you want to look at some of the previous challenges. So if you just take a screenshot of that screen, and I think Mike is handing out these slides as well. But it's about 120 data professionals, members of the public, students, all get together to solve real world challenges with real data over the course of a weekend using, I guess, a range of different techniques. And the sort of data professionals bring, you know, the skills, the Python, the Power BI, using Azure, machine learning, etc. And also we have a lot of our learners as well. And we had loads of our learners in the winning teams from the last hack, which was really exciting. We were very proud of. Also members of the public who bring the domain knowledge, the domain expertise, you know, skills as well, like Excel, communication, management, the all important presentation skills if you want to get onto the podium. And lots of students as well who bring, you know, a real mix of both. I wanted to talk again about our tutors. Now, the feedback we collect at every session goes into a database, and then we report on it. So we are I'm just getting a bit of feedback from someone. If you wouldn't mind just everyone else just muting. The feedback we get is very, very, very positive. The scores that you can see on my screen are scores out of 5. This is a live version of the dashboard that I screenshotted, I think, yesterday. And again, we can action this very quickly. So if we have problems or identify issues, then we can make rapid changes to the kind of schedule or the course or the sessions or the tutors or whatever it might be. But we do have, I think, kind of class-leading, world-leading tutors delivering these sessions, and it is something that really kind of stands us apart, I think, from our competition. So Python, don't be intimidated by Python. Like I said, we assume no prior knowledge. It's a general purpose programming language, probably the most flexible language in the world. And we teach you how to do various different things with it. So Python can be used to create desktop applications, build websites, build and deploy machine learning models, can use it for automation, making games. but it's really great as well for data cleaning and data analysis. Now imagine that, I just want to talk through this example with you. Imagine that a colleague of yours has been sending you these different files that you wanted to concatenate. They actually contain order details, but the sort of type of the file is redundant. So I'm just going to bring Python up here. So I've got all these Excel files on the right hand side. There's 89 in this folder. I'll just open one up and show you, or at least I'll try to. It's obviously opened on the wrong screen. That always seems to happen. I'll drag it across once it opens properly. So this is just an example of one of those files. And someone says to you, I want you to stitch all of those files together. We call this concatenation in sort of programming world. 89 files, you'd have to open a new file, open each one, copy and paste it and drag it in. But we can do this in Python really quickly. So this is a what we call an integrated developer environment, Spider. And this piece of code is just using some packages to give us some additional functionality and defining where those Excel files are saved. This bit of code actually goes into that folder, looks for any file that ends in the extension of an Excel file. We create a brand new empty what we call list, which is like a container for storing things. And we loop through all of those Excel files. We open them up one by one. It's iterating through them all, add them to this new empty list that we've created, and then we concatenate them all together, and then we write them to this new file. So I can press play, can do this live. It's running. It's already finished. So it's read in every single file you can see here, and then within the data folder, orders underscore .concat. So ran at 12:38 on the 17th, which is very promising. You can see if I open that, it's probably going to open on the wrong screen. Oh, no, it's not. It's good. You can see all of those files will be concatenated. So just one kind of quick example of something that, where Python can be very, very flexible, very useful and save you a lot of time. And you can do this with things like monthly, weekly reports, CVs to create holistic data, site number trackers, images, videos, audio files, anything where you're kind of converting unstructured data into structured information. So you've got sort of a unified data set that you can report from. We also use Python to speed up operations at the Hack. So this is a video of me running a Python script on the right hand side, and we create what we call hack packs for each of the challenges at the hackathons. So we collect information from the challenge owners through Microsoft Form, and then we use Python to pipe those variables, that data, into templates, and then we can create presentations, really nice looking, refined presentations really rapidly. So Python's actually creating, I think, 10 or so different presentations here, and you'll see them appearing on the left hand side once it's got all the information and added it to all those templates. So you can see it's creating them now, and then we can open one up and you can see this is a really great example of automation, at its finest, creating, really, really rich presentations that look like they've been, created by, by one of our staff members. SkyKit Learn as well, probably the most popular machine learning package that you can use with Python. We walk you through lots of different applications, use cases. We talk to you on the course about model descriptions and when you'd use each model and which is the right kind of application for a particular machine learning model. I was going to walk you through an iris example, but that's probably something I'll skip over just to try and save a little bit of time. But there is a kind of quite a big focus on modeling. Of course, we cover things like advanced Excel, using Power Query in Excel, which is new functionality, and all the classics that people figure out how to use, like VLOOKUP, pivot tables, using functions, etc. We don't have a big focus on Excel throughout the whole course, but is something that we do accept is still used a lot in various industries, so it's something that we do cover. Data visualization is again very big. We focus on Power BI, which is a business intelligence platform. There are two parts to Power BI. There's the desktop application where you build your reports, and also the Power BI service. So you build them in the desktop and then you push them to the Power BI service so you can share them with colleagues. And there are two languages in Power BI, DAX and Power Query. So they're both really powerful languages. Again, we assume no prior knowledge of these, and we teach them both from scratch. We teach you how to build actionable dashboards and how to use lots of different data connectors as well. So we really focus on not using static connections and just connecting to Excel, but we're really trying to use things like APIs. And I've got a good example here. So here is the developer guide for the coronavirus API. You've seen, Chris Whitty report on these numbers all the time, and this is an open source API that the government have developed. And actually, we can really easily interpret this page. We train people how to use APIs as part of the scheme. We're going to pull down some. We're going to try and pull out new cases by published date, cumulative cases by published date, new deaths by published date, and cumulative deaths by published date. And we can do that by understanding and teaching you how to interpret these kind of pages, which ultimately are like a guide to using an API. And then we can set the API up using Postman. So this is the endpoint that we're going to hit, and then we can send that request, and you can see that it delivers us this kind of JSON information, which is a sort of nested data language that's quite often used with APIs. We can grab that and we can use that straight into Power BI. So I'm going to say get data from web. Bear with me, this can be a little bit slow, especially when Teams is running and I'm sharing my screen. So we're just going to try and use this API, and this means we've got dynamic data in the dashboard, and if we publish it to the service, then we can tell it to automatically refresh, and we're always looking at the live data, which is so important, especially when we're looking at things like coronavirus statistics. So it's going to open another screen called Power Query, one of the languages I mentioned in Power BI. And I'm just going to tell Power BI that this is JSON data, and then I'm going to go through a few steps and just open this, convert this into tabular information. So you can see they just saved us records at the moment, so I'm going to expand that. And then you can see this is kind of tabular information as we would expect. I can go close and apply, take us back to the report page. So I'm doing all this live, which is always a bit of a risk. It's just loading all that tabular information from that API straight into the report. Again, we can refresh it at our leisure then and look at the live data, but just showing you, once you know what you're doing and you've been trained properly, it's so easy to use these things. So it's loading 503 rows of data. And then we can make some quick plots. We just have to make a couple of, so it's read everything in as text so far. So we just need to change some of the data types. So I'm just going to change the date. You can see it says it's text. I'm just going to force it actually to be a date because text would be wrong. Yep, happy with that change. And then we wait. And then I'm just going to change these new cases. Still thinks that's text. That's obviously a number. So I'm just going to turn that into a whole number. Click OK. And then I'm going to do the same things with this column as well. So again, let's turn that into a whole number. Press OK. So we just changed some data types here. You can see this has been turned into a date. So it's now got a little calendar here. And then we've got these two sigmas here specifying these are now numerical fields, not text fields. Again, we'll cover a lot of this theory in the course as well, but it means that we can plot, a line graph, and I want to plot the date along the axis, and then I'm going to plot the cases against the deaths in the values. And then let's just make this a bit bigger. Not very interesting because it's looking at the yearly information as well, so I don't want that to be a hierarchy. And then you can see very clearly the relationship between new cases. This is the last wave that we've had, and I guess the new current wave that the government is telling us about, and how that relates exactly to the deaths. You can see that every time there is a sort of a rise in the amount of cases, that has definitely an effect on the death rate as well. And this is live information, so the last bit here is the 16th of June. Because this is all connected through an API now, and all of those steps that we've been through have all been saved. If I hit refresh and I did this tomorrow or the day after, then I'd get the live copy of that data. Okay. Back to my presentation. So Power BI is huge. Again, it's covered a lot in the course. We also cover Power Apps, so how to build low-code apps that are easy to deploy within your company. And this is an example of one of the apps that we'll be able to build. So scans QR codes that are stuck on doors within buildings. It filters across a location and then allows the users to actually filter some of the information like dates or etc. that are relevant to that particular building or room. And here's a screenshot of the sort of Power App Studio. So we teach you all about this user interface, how to build apps from scratch, the language that's involved. We also touch on SQL Server, so the most common type of database in the world, and you'll learn how to retrieve, enter information, update information, make table joins, all using SSMS. That's SQL Server Management Studio, which you can see a screenshot on my screen right now. So this is the Northwind database. Again, we'll teach you how to retrieve information, make queries, make table joins, so that you could, at the very least, be a translator, have a conversation with a database engineer, so that you could and contribute, understand what they mean, and understand what's possible as well. We also touch on Power Automate, automation software, so creating tasks from emails, triggering Python scripts in Azure for cleaning data, creating documents from templates and Microsoft Forms, very similar to what I showed you with that Python example. Organizing documents as they come in through maybe APIs or emails, or through Microsoft Forms. If you join us and you're onboarded, then we've got a bot that has actually automated the entire process. So that might be interesting for you to see. All the contracts, etc., are all created from information that you enter into forms. And here's a screenshot of the sort of user interface. Again, we'll walk you through and teach you how to build automation right from the sort of the foundations. And some success stories that we've had so far. So multiple learners have got promotions as a product of the apprenticeship. We've got an over 80% pass rating for the final tests of the assessment aspect of the apprenticeship. Multiple learners have made their lives more efficient by creating Python scripts to collate data, do monthly reporting, etc. Learners have got completely new roles in their existing companies. One of our learners was made redundant, but the scheme allowed him to kind of take a sideways step, move into a different role and hang on to his or her job. And learners have also had business cases approved as well. So based on the knowledge that they've gained and the theory that they've gained, they've seen improvements they can make, managed to make those business cases, and they've been successful. So how you can start your journey. I'm just getting a bit of background noise from Belton, if you wouldn't mind muting. How you can start your journey. So the next cohort starts at the end of July. The first bit of teaching doesn't actually start until the second week of August. So there is a bit of time. There is a bit.ly link there which you take a picture of, and you will have a copy of the slides as well. But we really say this is kind of free training to prepare yourself for sort of the next 10 years. We are a BCS accredited training provider. We had Ofsted inspect us last week, and I can't tell you what the results were, but we were thrilled with what they've said, and we will be announcing those within the next couple of weeks. If you do want to get involved, please, the best person to get in contact with is either Yoshi Sornak, he's in the call, or vicky@projectingsuccess.co.uk. You can also get in contact with myself, and I can answer any more questions and put you in touch with the right person. But we really encourage you to, to come on board, be a pathfinder, disrupt the status quo. And it's 8 minutes to 1. So that's my LinkedIn. If you want to ask me any more questions, again, please take a screenshot of that and you can add me. It's a good way to keep in contact. But yeah, there's 7 minutes left now, so please, I'll open the floor to any questions you have.
Thanks very much, James. That was brilliant. Quite fancy it myself now after that.
Good.
Yeah, really, really good. Just what we wanted, I think, and looking forward to sharing this wider. We've had 3 or 4 people drop out, but they've thanked you for their time and for your time and found that session really, really useful. So no doubt we'll pick up from where they dropped out.
Yeah, no problem.
There was a question about is this discipline only relevant to capital projects? I think Nicola asked that, and she's unfortunately had to drop out. But just your thoughts on that? I think from some of the information you were sharing around early on in your presentation.
No, it's got a focus on projects, not necessarily capital projects. So anyone from working in a project environment would get a massive benefit from this type of course.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was great to see you working on live data there as well.
Yeah, I had a few more examples of some machine learning, but I've just running out of time. But happy to come back and do another session at some point. The problem is what I show, not it's always a case of running out of time.
It is, isn't it? An hour's not quite long enough to do that, particularly if I spoke for 20 minutes of that.
No, not a problem.
You've mentioned the July 28th of July cohort. From what I understand, there's one on the 29th of September and the 24th of November as well. Is that right?
Cohorts are every 2 months.
Yeah.
So if you think the teaching doesn't really start until the beginning of August, but we like to get people onboarded sort of end of July, get the software sorted out, etc. So I think end of July and then every 2 months going forward. So it would be sort of the end of September, end of November, etc., etc. So if people do miss this cohort, it's not a problem. We will have one every single 2 months.
Yeah. Okay. I think if anything, I mean, from what we've understood of projecting success, the application process is really, really slick.
Yeah.
It's perhaps the process internally to individual organisations such as HE, which might add to that. I know HE is typically it's about 2 weeks because it's got to go through a series of checks through HR, line manager review, directorate review, back to HR. And such things. So that does take a bit of time, but working back from those cohort start dates, hopefully those that are listening today and those that are listening back will get a sense of things. And for us, we're looking to try and coordinate this and make this as accessible and as easy for people as possible. As I mentioned earlier, HE are looking to introduce this, so I'll be working separately on that one. But for anyone that's working outside of HE, I'll send those documents across that will give some outline as to the how to access the procurement and the contracts, which is really easy to do, and who to contact internally to get that process started. There is an expressions of interest form, which I'll share as well, which means that when we get that information back, there's a level of commitment from both the learner and from the line manager, and that makes it easy for projecting success and other providers to start that process and support people in the right areas.
Perfect.
So that was really great, James. at this point there isn't any further questions. If it's okay with you, could you just you'll send me the slide deck so I can share that with everyone.
I've already sent them to you.
Oh, have you? Brilliant.
Just
Oh,
before the
thanks,
session.
James. Okay, smashing.
No
That's
problem.
great. I will share those out to everyone, and thanks so much for your time. It's been
thanks
absolutely
for the
brilliant.
Thanks for excuse me. If anybody's got any more questions, because I've not talked about the kind of schedule or the and kind of how the assessment works. If anybody's got more questions about that, then please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
I will put in, because Yoshi and others have done a lunch and learn, which actually covers some of those early points that people were asking. So I'll put those in the chat.
Perfect.
And yeah, if anyone wants to take up James's offer, then yeah, absolutely do that. And yeah, hopefully that'll give you the information you need to make a decision to potentially enroll on one of these. So thanks for listening, and thanks to James. Thanks to everyone for taking time out to chat, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And yeah, thanks for joining.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks both. Good.
Take care. Thanks, Hannah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. No
You're
problem.
welcome.
Bye.
Cheers.